listening to Red Pill 78. My name is The Corruption Detector, and you're watching tonight's Red Pill News. What a news day! Straight from the Daily Caller, General Mattis retires from Trump administration. This is huge, guys. Very, very big news. I was a little disconcerted when I first heard it. I like General Mattis. I thought that he portrayed a great image for our nation. But if it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit. You've got to have two people like this meshing. Otherwise, it will not work. Secretary of Defense James Mattis will retire at the end of February after 2 years in the job. President Donald Trump revealed on Twitter Thursday evening. President Trump says General Mattis will be retiring with distinction at the end of February after having served my administration as Secretary of Defense for the past 2 years. During Jim's tenure, tremendous progress has been made, especially with respect to the purchase of new fighting. General Mattis, equipment, pardon me. General Mattis was a great help to me in getting allies and other countries to pay their share of military obligations. A new Secretary of Defense will be named shortly. I greatly thank Jim for his service. Because you have the right to have a Secretary of Defense whose views better align with yours, I believe it is right for me to step down from my position, Mattis wrote in his resignation letter to Trump. Mattis outlined his view that a nation is inextricably linked to the strength of our unique and comprehensive system of alliances and partnerships. Something tells me Mattis did not like the fact that Trump announced we are pulling out of Syria and then later Afghanistan to a large degree as well. We must do everything possible to advance our international order that is most conducive to our security, prosperity, values, and we are strengthened in this effort by the solidarity of our alliances, he continued. Mattis was one of the first cabinet secretaries announced by Trump during his presidential transition in 2016, cherishing his wartime nickname of Mad Dog. Mattis has served as a quiet and effective advocate of the president's agenda at the Pentagon since taking its helm 2 years ago. The defense secretary frequently stayed out of the limelight during his tenure, preferring to save any advice or criticism for the president in private. Mattis at times disagreed with Trump's foreign policy instincts and fought to have the U.S. remain engaged in foreign conflicts like Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. Trump's decision to announce Mattis's retirement comes as he has decided to withdraw all U.S. forces from Syria in the next 30 days. Wow, I didn't realize it was happening that fast. Mattis is said to have advised Trump against the decision. All right, let's go ahead and watch this.
We are going to appoint Mad Dog Mattis as our Secretary of Defense.
All right, that's where we're going to stop it right there. I do not want to get this video banned by YouTube. Now that we've learned this, let's talk about what's going to happen after. I can only imagine that this was not part of the plan because it doesn't seem like it was timed very well. There must be some animosity between Trump and Mattis. He was very diplomatic in his letter of resignation. But when it comes down to it, I have to trust President Trump and think that if Mattis is going to be leaving, Trump is going to put someone in there that's going to be just as good, if not better. So who's your top pick? Who would you like to see as the Secretary of Defense? I saw some people throwing out some names on Twitter like Admiral Rogers, General Flynn. I think General Flynn would be great, but I don't know if that's possible right now with all the crap that he's having to endure. All right, now again, we will be moving on to a little bit more news about Mattis that I found quite surprising. Coming in from the Gateway Pundit, exclusive. Mattis considered presidential run in 2020 back in May, according to leaked NDA obtained by the Gateway Pundit. Outgoing Defense Secretary General James Mattis explored the possibility of a presidential run against Trump in 2020, according to a leaked NDA sent to multiple political consulting firms in May this year and exclusively obtained by the Gateway Pundit. Sources with knowledge of the proposed Mattis presidential bid told the Gateway Pundit that the team exploring the possibility found that the odds were favorable for a run in 2020. But at the time, they determined that the optics of a Secretary of Defense campaigning against the same president he served under would not be ideal. This led them to conclude that 2024 would be a better option unless things changed. Did he retire so that he could run against President Trump in 2020? I have to say, I like General Mattis, but I'm not voting for him over President Donald Trump. Look at those guys. Okay, and before I go on, I want to just mention here, I had a couple people tell me today to get this aborted fetus off my screen. This is a sweet potato, all right? Go to the Gateway Pundit and verify it for yourself. I don't know if you guys have never seen a sweet potato, but I can verify this is definitely a sweet potato. I would not have an aborted fetus on my screen. It's in poor taste, and it just goes against everything I stand for. So, moving on, Secretary of Defense James Mattis and President Donald Trump, right there. They decided that it would be a wise move to assemble a group of consultants to have on standby just in case, either for 2020 or 2024. One of the consultants that signed the NDA and discussed a Mattis run provided their copy to the Gateway Pundit. Here it is. Wow. These are pretty rock solid. I don't know if you guys have ever had to sign an NDA, but this is kind of gutsy of whoever this was to put this out there. Hopefully every single NDA is exactly the same and that Mattis didn't change it slightly for each person that signed it. Because if they did, then this guy is in deep water. All right, so you will be able to read this when you go to the pinned comment, which is just below my video on desktop. And if you're on mobile, all you have to do is keep scrolling up until you get past all of the suggested videos, and then right there will be all of the comments. An individual involved with the exploration of a run, who asked that their name be kept off the record, told Gateway that a Mattis run in 2020 was not off the table. The source said that if the Democrats push for impeachment before 2020, the Republicans would have an open primary. And if that happened, there are no demographics that show Pence winning. In the event of impeachment, the consultant said Mattis would have a good chance. When asked if he would be running as a Democrat or a Republican, the source explained that as a military general, he tends to hold independent political beliefs, but that a third-party run would not be viable. They explained that he would most likely run as a Republican, as Democrat voters do not look fondly upon those they believe to be war hawks, even though the Democratic Party's full of them. The source stressed that though they decided at the time that 2020 would be the best timing for a run, there is a whole metric that changes as D.C. is constantly moving and evolving. The source would not rule out that Mattis's recent resignation puts a 2020 run against Trump on the cards. Don't do it, Mad Dog. On Thursday evening, it was announced that Mattis would be resigning from the administration in February over his political differences with the president. Because you have the right to have a Secretary of Defense whose views are better aligned with yours on these and other subjects, I believe it is right for me to step down from my position, Mattis wrote in his resignation letter to Trump. Wow. I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's a bad idea at all, but I do think it's a bad idea for him to oppose Trump. I definitely think it's a bad idea for him to oppose Trump. What do you guys think? Mention something about it in the comments below. Next, I have a little lighthearted story for you from CNSnews.com. Guess who the least educated state in the nation is? If you said California, you're right. It's number one in percentage of residents 25 and older who never finished the 9th grade. And it's number 50 in high school graduates. California ranks number one among the 50 states for the percentage of its residents 25 and older who have never completed 9th grade, and 50th for the percentage who have graduated from high school, according to new data from the Census Bureau. Texas ranks number 2 for the percentage of its residents 25 and older who have never completed 9th grade, and 49th for the percentage who have graduated from high school. Now, nothing against Texas. I tend to think this is because you have so many Californians who are moving to Texas. 9.7% of California residents 25 and older, the Census Bureau says, never completed 9th grade. Only 82.5% graduated from high school. 8.7% of Texas residents 25 and older never completed 9th grade, and only 82.8% graduated from high school. And here is a handy-dandy little infographic. There's Pence meditating over there on the right. Let's see. Here, you guys, you can see where your state is. Give a shout out for your state in the comments below. California and Texas, while having the highest percentages of residents 25 and older who never finished ninth grade and the lowest percentages who graduated from high school, are the nation's two most populous states. Go figure. So, in fact, the 2.5 million California residents 25 and older who, according to the Census Bureau, never finished ninth grade outnumbered the entire population of 15 other states. In California, children are required to attend school from 6 years of age until they are 18. California's compulsory education laws require children between 6 and 18 years of age to attend school, with a limited number of exceptions, says the California Legislative Analyst's Office, an agency of the California state government. The National Center for Education Statistics also indicates that children in California are compelled by law to attend school from 6 to 18 years of age. Oops. Massachusetts ranks number 1 for the percentage of its residents 25 and older, 42.1%, who have earned at least a bachelor's degree. These rankings are based on data from the Census Bureau's American Community Survey 5-year estimates, which are released this month. In the survey, the Census Bureau asks respondents to specify the level of education attainment for each individual in their household. The question is, what is the highest degree or level of school that this person has completed? The survey form then offers the respondent multiple options, ranging from no schooling completed to professional degree or doctorate degree. If an individual has not earned a high school diploma, the respondent is asked to specify the highest grade the individual actually completed, ranging from nursery school through 12th grade, no diploma. All right, so this is a fairly lengthy article, guys. I'm just going to leave it right there. I just thought that was a nice, funny little shot at California. I'm sure there's plenty of people watching the show that are from California that are very intelligent. Just graduating from high school is obviously not necessarily an indication of how smart someone is. But the situation California is in, I'd say there has to be some level of correlation. All right. Now, moving back on to the Gateway Pundit, because tonight the House voted to fund the wall. Yay! It's now moving on to the Senate. And I know that a lot of people have mentioned to me on Twitter that a lot of senators have gone home for the holiday already, but they're still going to vote on it. So those guys are just SOL. And this is a flashback from last week when Nancy Pelosi said the House will never pass border wall bill. And Trump confronted her on video. On Thursday night, moments ago, the House of Representatives passed legislation for a spending bill that includes $5.7 billion for a U.S.-Mexico border wall. The vote passed 221 to 179. I believe there were 8 Republicans that voted against it. I will certainly be looking into that and see exactly who those people were. We had 221. Oh, no. We had 15 Republicans vote no. 170. Oh, no vote. Pardon me. They just didn't vote at all. 179 Democrats. All of them voted against, and then 18 were not present. It was a huge win for Republicans and for the American people, President Trump as well as American security. Funny thing, it was just last week that Minority Leader Pelosi told President Trump that the House could not pass border wall funding. It was impossible. Of course, President Trump corrected her, and tonight the Republican House put her in her place. Let's go ahead and watch that scene.
You have the votes. You should pass it.
No, we
right
don't have
now.
the vote, Nancy, because in the Senate we need 60 votes.
No, but in the House.
And we don't
you
have.
could bring it up right now
Yeah, but
today.
I can't, excuse me, but I can't get it passed in the House if it's not going to pass in the Senate. I don't want to waste time.
Well, the fact is, you can get it started that way.
The House, we...
Nancy Pelosi. She is barely alive, just walking around like a bag of sticks. Somebody has got a motor inside of her, forcing her to continue on. What is up with Nancy Pelosi's brain moments that she has, where she just has like a complete loss of her train of thought? I believe that Nancy Pelosi must have some level of alcoholism. Because it just seems to me like that world, there's probably a lot of drinking going around. I imagine it to be maybe a slightly more modern version of Mad Men, maybe. And Nancy Pelosi probably drinking a little too much scotch with her breakfast. All right. And then lastly, we also had a win for Homeland Security. Secretary Kirstjen M. Nielsen announces historic action to confront illegal immigration, announcing new migration protection protocols. Today, Secretary of Homeland Security Kirstjen Nielsen announced historic action to confront the illegal immigration crisis facing the United States. Effective immediately, the United States will begin the process of invoking Section 235B2C of the Immigration and Nationality Act. Under the Migration Protection Protocols, individuals arriving in or entering the United States from Mexico illegally or without proper documentation may be returned to Mexico for the duration of their immigration proceedings. Sounds to me like somebody wants to keep their job. Good job, Kirstjen. Today, we are announcing historic measures to bring the illegal immigration crisis under control, said Secretary Nielsen. We will confront this crisis head on, uphold the rule of law, and strengthen our humanitarian commitments. Aliens trying to game the system to get into our country illegally will no longer be able to disappear into the United States, where many may skip their court dates. Instead, they will wait for an immigration court decision while they are in Mexico. Catch and release will be replaced with catch and return. In doing so, we will reduce illegal migration by removing one of the key incentives that encourages people from taking the dangerous journey to the United States in the first place. This will also allow us to focus more attention on those who are actually fleeing persecution. Let me be clear. We will undertake these steps consistent with all domestic and international legal obligations, including our humanitarian commitments. We have notified the Mexican government of our intended actions. In response, Mexico has made an independent determination that they will commit to implement essential measures on their side of the border. We expect affected migrants will receive humanitarian visas to stay on Mexican soil, the ability to apply for work and other protections while they await a U.S. legal determination. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God is delivering today. Background: illegal aliens have exploited asylum loopholes at an alarming rate. Over the last 5 years, DHS has seen a 2,000% increase in aliens claiming credible fear, the first step to asylum. As many know, it will give them an opportunity to stay in our country, even if they do not actually have a valid claim to asylum. As a result, the United States has an overwhelming asylum backlog of more than 786,000 pending cases. Last year alone, the number of asylum claims soared 67% compared to the previous year. Most of these claims are not meritorious. In fact, 9 out of 10 asylum claims are not granted by a federal immigration judge. However, by the time a judge has ordered them removed from the United States, many have vanished. Here's the process. Aliens trying to enter the U.S. to claim asylum will no longer be released into our country, where they often disappear before a court can determine their claims merits. Instead, those aliens will be processed by DHS and given a notice to appear for their immigration court hearing. While they wait in Mexico, the Mexican government has made its own determination to provide such individuals humanitarian visas, work authorization, and other protections. Aliens will have access to immigration attorneys and to the U.S. for their court hearings. Ugh. Aliens whose claims are upheld by U.S. judges will be allowed in. Those without valid claims will be deported to their home countries. Bye-bye, fellas. See you later. Back to Guatemala. Anticipated benefits. As we implement, illegal immigration and false asylum claims are expected to decline. Aliens will not be able to disappear into U.S. before their court decision. More attention can be focused on more quickly assisting legitimate asylum seekers, as fraudsters are disincentivized from making the journey. Precious border security personnel and resources will be freed up to focus on protecting our territory and clearing the massive asylum backlog. Vulnerable populations will get the protection they need while they await a determination in Mexico. Once again, thank you, God. I am so happy today. This has just been a wonderful news day. I was waiting all day to make this video. I couldn't be more excited. I really hope that you guys are just as excited as I am, and I can't wait to see what you have to say in the comments below. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. If you want to share this with your friends, I've had a lot of people telling me they're sharing with their family and their friends, and it just means so much to me, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm having such a really good time. This is probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my life, and I'm so glad to be a part of this with all of you. Thank you so much for watching tonight. I do appreciate you tuning in. And everyone, good night and good luck.